If you are eligible for military service and support war with Iran, or any other country, but refuse to serve in the military, then you are a coward and a hypocrite. The title pretty much says it. There are plenty of people in this country that seem to have no issue with fighting for freedom in the Middle East or elsewhere that have never and will never serve in the military even though they are able to. These are some of the worst Americans in my opinion. We are not going to go to war with Iran. There is little chance of war with Iran. This recent story has really brought out the teenage opinions across Reddit. Laughs in DD214. Sorry, but this is how volunteer-based militaries work. If you're a citizen, you get to have an opinion. I do agree with your point, but speaking as a vet, I can honestly say most of the guys on the front lines could care less about the general opinion of the public. You join because you want to fight, at least the guys I served with did. We going to war now? This is dumb. You can support something without being willing to put your life on hold for 4 to 5 years. Do see it through. I support charity. Doesn't mean I'm going to join the Peace Corps and ship off to some developing country for X number of years. I support reducing CO2 emissions. Doesn't mean I'm going to live off the grid growing my own food. I can support the war in Afghanistan without joining the army. Now if you're talking about draft dodging, then I agree. You support the draft, you better be ready to get drafted. But you don't need to volunteer for the Navy just because you think fighting pirates off the Horn of Africa makes the world a better place. I support retaliating when attacked. That doesn't make me pro-war, and that doesn't mean I should have to serve when there is no draft and likely isn't ever going to be one again, even if the fools want to continue attacking us just to see how we respond. Is an ant at war with a boot? That's the power dynamic between the US and Iran. There will be no draft. The dude literally had the American embassy attacked and was inciting violence and had been making public statements about destroying America. He didn't just get killed out of the blue. Most of us don't want a war to break out, but if one does occur and our draft number is pulled, I hope we will serve honorably. Regardless, it's unlikely war will occur, and even more unlikely that they will actually call a draft. America has a huge standing army. Just checked, looks like last draft was 47 years ago. Removed. If you refuse to fight a war that will never come to your family and friends back home, then it is not cowardly to refuse. If you go to other countries' lands, you are not defending your home, you're attacking someone else's. If someone attacks you, comes to your lands, then it is cowardly to not defend your home, but not when fighting across the globe. You either fight it there or you fight it here. It's not going away. Fuck no, fighting in wars is one of the primary purposes for having a military. That is literally their job, not mine. Your argument is basically the equivalent of saying that you cannot use oil if you are unwilling to work at an oil refinery. They are both dangerous jobs with relatively high mortality rates. Not participating in one career path doesn't make you ineligible from benefiting from other people who do. That is why we have a division of labor in the first place. Spill the tea. Agreed wholeheartedly. War is a terrible thing and should not be protracted over many years. I don't support a war with Iran, but wouldn't this logic be like saying I support stopping fires, but I don't want to be a firefighter? Everyone willing to fight for their country is just an idiot. If you are eligible to serve but don't, you are a coward. What a hill to die on. Going to war is not a game, and calling out the coward card is a bit out of place in my opinion. If you fear it, that's pretty normal. We are human after all. Have strong nerves is not a thing that everyone possesses. Again, we are not playing some Call of Duty or something, and there is not respawn. This is an unpopular opinion. Bonus note: we are not going to war that easily. Keep calm. Laughs in being too fat. If I was American, it would bother me to go lose my life for Israel. Conservatives like to send other people's children to die. Because we don't need everyone to serve in the military, we need them to stay home, raise kids, work civilian jobs, and keep contributing to our economy. We have more than enough people already in the military. I don't think anyone supports war with Iran or war at all. We do, however, support retaliation against terrorist leaders who have attacked our embassy and various American assets. Gonna disagree here. You don't have to be a soldier to support a war. There's a difference between draft dodging and simply not wanting to be in the military for whatever reason. Pretty dumb opinion. Can I not support health care for all if I'm not a doctor? Our soldiers are doing a job they signed up for. We don't pay $738 billion a year for them to sit around and do nothing. Have you ever fought in a war, or are you some 13-year who's played too much COD and doesn't know the real world? I'm not a coward, but I want to be doing anything but fighting in a war at 18. I don't like the sound of guns and afraid of getting shot. Why is this on Unpopular Opinions? This opinion isn't unpopular. No one supports war with Iran. However, given what Iran did the past year, they needed a vibe check. Why should Americans die for Israel? Some people have families and other responsibilities. They can't just go, fuck it, I'm going to Iran. I am a combat vet and I have always hated people who do this. Everybody wants to sound tough and like some deep realists and talk about how necessary war is and how it needs to be fought. Meanwhile, they have never served a day in their life. They're the faux patriots. I would go, but I have bone spurs. It's easy to want a war you will never fight in. Let the politicians' sons fight it, says my mom, and I couldn't agree more. I refuse to participate in a conflict I do not support, and so should every American. I do not support this war, and neither do I support the draft for any war. Making Tehran glass doesn't take boots on the ground. A war with Iran is not a war to align the people of that country with the US government. It is just aiming to destroy Iran. Internet is over-exaggerating. Iran will not even imagine a full-scale war with US and EVM. If they do, their immortal sun will be blocked by missiles. I get what UP is saying. I feel like a lot of people who would want a war with Iran are people who would never dream of having to fight in it, and it can be sad to see how quickly people are willing to let others die over it. I don't know, I just hate the idea of war in general. The people that STSRT the wars should go fight it. Facts. It's like having a motive to sacrifice others for you cause, but wouldn't sacrifice yourselves. I was just thinking earlier after thinking about Watchmen that if you claim to be a hero and is willing to sacrifice others for the cause, but would never consider sacrificing yourself, you aren't a true hero. You should fight for me. Said every villain ever. Possibly the most popular opinion ever on Reddit. What if I wanted to join the military but I'm ineligible to join or be drafted? Truth. I agree with this so much. I want with everything in me to serve this country, but I'm epileptic so I can't serve overseas. You have my upvote. That would be a popular opinion. This is easily the most popular opinion I have ever seen here, and I don't know how it got out of new. Can you imagine being American? I mean, that's not an opinion, it's a fact. How can you say something so brave and ultimately uncontroversial on this left-leaning site? I disagree. I support cancer research, but I'm not in a lab as a scientist myself. The easiest response is this: I support the freedom and liberty of other people, but I don't want be afraid of fucking fireworks or get my brains blown out. Supporting the war and its ideas are one thing, but you have to be on a whole new level of support if you are willing to die for it. It is the same as any other opinion. If you are a supporter of a political party, that's great, but it doesn't mean you have to run for president. Seems like a very oversimplified way of thinking about it. TBH, I see what you are saying, but applying that logic to any other argument does not work. Just because you agree with something does not mean you need to drop everything in your life and do it. Yes. People who support war should fight it to know what hardships it brings to other people. r/popular opinions from CNN Talking Points. You can have opinions on things you are not wholly invested in. This logic fails as soon as you take it elsewhere. I mean, in order to even have an educated enough opinion to be deciding if we should be going to war, you'd have to be someone who spent a lot of time not at war on the first place. The war with Iran is as unlikely as someone posting an actually unpopular opinion on this sub. What if I support the war with Iran, but am ineligible because I already served 8 years in the military and got out? This could literally be the definition of a popular opinion. Get the fuck out with this karma whoring crap. So stupid how people think there will be war. Please read what's happening and know that US had no other choice but to do what they did. I fucking hate war, but how can you go in being peaceful when all they speak is the language of war? No, WW3 will break out. Yeah, cause I wanna die so that people can pay taxes and fight in a war that just affects my economy badly. Some people have, like, important lives. I mean, the only war I'll ever truly support and happily be a part of would be the one against North Korea. LOL, fighting a war to help a corrupt president stay in power, how brave. This is ridiculous. First off, they'd a limit to soldiers needed. If all American male wanted to serve, simply training them and giving them equipment would be very expensive. There's enough volunteers, so no need for a drag at the moment. Secondly, you can believe in something without being willing to die over it. For example, you might want lower taxes, but are you gonna storm the White House or try to achieve this in a safer way? Kind of a broad opinion, given people may not serve for various reasons: health, religion, pacifists, etc. Granted, a pacifist wouldn't be for a war anyways. In my case, I would never serve my country. I don't want to serve a country where half the people don't like my views. If and vice versa. The country my family fought for is not the same country I once knew. I mean, some things have gotten better, yes, but it's feeling like people are starting to want there to be only one acceptable mindset. Seems dangerous, honestly. Of course I can't serve because of my health anyways. As for Iran, we need to leave the Middle East alone. Let the endless violence figure out its own ending. Love Trump or hate Trump, his decision to do what he did was idiotic. It's like 9/11 all over again. We are going to maybe get stuck in some sort of war again. Even if it's not as bad as the Iraq War was.